Friends from the press, welcome to today's regular press conference. I would like to take your questions. We noticed that on July the 12th, the Foreign Minister of the Philippines announced the statement of the 7th anniversary of the South China Sea Arbitration Tribunal, saying that it has become part of the international law. What are China's comments? China's position on the so-called arbitration tribunal has been consistent and clear and consistent. The MoFA has issued a statement on July the 12th, 2016. The arbitration is against the UNCLOS and other international laws. The award is illegal and null. China does not accept or acknowledge the award and does not accept any action based on the award. China's sovereignty and interest in the South China Sea has based on the long-term historical practice. It has long-term historical and legal basis and will not be affected by the illegal arbitration. It has been questioned by many experts from international law, including many experts and scholars on international law, including former president of the International Court of Justice and the judge of the International Maritime Law Court. And many people with wisdom and vision in the Philippines pointed at why the arbitration is illegal. China does not accept or acknowledge the position of the arbitration and has been accepted and supported by over 100 countries. China and ASEAN countries are implementing the DOC and promoting the consultation of the COC and agreed to deal with the case with the dual track system. We urge countries to manage differences through dialogue and consultation and work with China to uphold regional stability and peace in the South China Sea. Next question, please.
TASS. Yesterday, NATO issued the Vilnius Summit communique. It says that the deepening strategic partnership between China and Russia and their mutually reinforcing attempts to undercut the rules-based international order run counter to NATO's values and interests. What is your comment?
China and Russia relation based on the non-alliance and non-targeting the third party. The relation is beyond the model in the Cold War. It sets a new example of major countries. It's different from the pattern of small circles and bloc confrontation. We urge countries to give up the wrongdoing of seeking absolute security. We should not intend to disrupt Europe and Asia Pacific and the world. Next question, please.
Yonhap News Agency. This morning, the DPRK launched a ballistic missile. NATO, in its communique, condemned in the strongest terms the DPRK's weapons of mass destruction and ballistic missile programs and urged the DPRK to abandon nuclear weapons and programs. What's your comment?
The Korean Peninsula issue should be followed by the dual-track approach. NATO is not a party concerned in the peninsula issue. It has ignored the negative influence of the parties. It will not help the solution of the peninsula issue. Next question, please. Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands is visiting China. This is the second visit of the Prime Minister since the two countries established diplomatic relations. On July the 10th, the two countries issued a joint statement. Could you please give us more details? And how will this visit shape the relations between China and the Solomon Islands and with other Pacific Island countries? The Prime Minister have begun his official visit to China on July the 9th. On July the 10th, President Xi met with the Prime Minister and announced to build a comprehensive strategic partnership. Premier Li Xiang also held talks and other events with the Prime Minister. Chairman Zhao Leji also met with the Prime Minister. Leaders of the two countries brought an important consensus with in-depth exchanges of the bilateral relations and international and regional issues of mutual concern. The two countries issued a joint statement and agreed to engage in high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and implement the GDI, GSI, and the GCI to build a community with a shared future for mankind. The visit is fruitful with the results, signed cooperation documents on development cooperation, trade, infrastructure, civil aviation, education, police affairs, maritime and customs security, and meteorology. The Prime Minister will also visit Jiangsu and Guangdong. Since we established diplomatic relations, the relation has been vibrant. It shows the strong vitality of the two countries. We have strengthened our relations and played an active role in the security of Solomon Islands. And China will support Solomon Islands in achieving long-term security. We will work with Solomon Islands for long-term growth of the bilateral relations to benefit the two peoples of the two countries. I would like to tell you that China and the Pacific Island countries, all developing countries, developing South-to-South cooperation is the intended meaning of building community with a shared future. During his visit with the Prime Minister, President Xi Jinping elaborated on the respects on the sovereignty and security, on the tradition, and on self-reliance of the islands. This is the guiding principle when we deal with the relations with island countries. We will remain the trustworthy friends and brother of Pacific Island countries. And we will continue to build a community with a shared future between China and Pacific Island countries. Next question, please.
Both Australia and New Zealand have urged China and Solomon Islands to release the details of their new policing pact. They've said that the lack of clarity about the security implications of this deal might aggravate tensions in the South Pacific. Do China and Solomon Islands plan to publish the complete text of this agreement? Will any details of this deal be released at all? And if so, when will this happen? Thank you.
法新社提问。
First, the peace agreement signed between China and the Solomon Islands is in line with international laws and practices. The police cooperation will play an active role in ensuring the stability of the Solomon Islands. China will support Solomon Islands in achieving long-term security. According to the needs of the Solomon Islands, we will provide assistance within our capacity. Next question, please.
China, and he's had meetings with the China Exim Bank and the China Development Bank. Can you give us any update on how the negotiations on the debt relief for Sri Lanka is going? Thank you.
彭博社提问：斯里兰卡外长正在访问中国，他正在会见中方的进出口行和发展银行的官员。那么中方能否提供更多关于斯里兰卡债务的信息？
On the debt of Sri Lanka, we introduced China's position. You may refer to past posts. I want to tell you that China and Sri Lanka are brothers and good friends. We are mutually complementary in many areas. We are committed to good neighborliness. We will provide assistance within our capacity to the economic growth of Sri Lanka. We will also encourage competent companies of China to invest in Sri Lanka to help Sri Lanka to improve livelihood and improve the economy. The mutually beneficial cooperation between China and Sri Lanka does not target the third parties. Next question. Thank you, Global Times. On July the 12th, the spokesperson of the U.S. said that the arbitration of the South China Sea are final and asked China to stop illegal activities of China. What's our China's comments? The so-called award of the arbitration case violates international law, including the UNCLOS, is illegal and null and void. China does not accept or recognize this award. It is upholding the authority and the completeness of the UNCLOS. The U.S. is the culprit of the South China Sea arbitration and is hyping up these arbitration at anniversaries to press on China. The U.S. is distorting the international maritime law, including the UNCLOS, and going against the commitments on the sovereignty of the South China Sea. It is irresponsible to stir up and disrupt relations in the region. China urges the U.S. to respect China's sovereignty and maritime interests on the South China Sea. You should not be the creator of trouble on the South China Sea and stop all activities that disrupt the stability of the region. China will work with ASEAN countries for the stability of the region, for the peace of the region. Next question. The first high-level conference of the Forum on Global Development for Global Forum on Shared Development, and will work with the international community to implement the GDI. It's been 2 years since China implemented the GDI. Could you please give us more details on the progress and what we'll do next? The first high-level conference of the Forum on Global Action for Shared Development was held in Beijing. President Xi Jinping sent a congratulatory letter. Vice Chairman Han Zheng attended the meeting with representatives of foreign countries, and the director of the Central Foreign Affairs Commission, Wang Yi, attended the meeting and read the letter. It shows the applications of all sides to strengthen cooperation, and it has been recognized by the international community. Over the 2 years, over 100 countries or international organizations supported the initiative, and over 70 countries joined the group of friends for the GDI on the UN. The mechanism has been improved, and the pathway is clear. And the benefits of the cooperation has benefited many countries. It has injected a strong momentum for the 2030 SDGs. Over the past year, 32 measures of the outcome list of the high-level dialogue on global development has been, over half of them have been implemented. And over 1,000 trainings has provided 20,000 training persons. And the GDI is not China's soloist, but the symphony of all sides. As the largest developing country, China will work with all countries in the South to implement the GDI. And we will work on the priority agenda, developing more projects and breaking through the development financing bottleneck and strengthening third-party cooperation and support young people's development. On the path to development, no country or person should be left out. This is the vision of the GDI. It's also the goals of the UN. China will work with the international community to promote common development with practical cooperation, to make our own contribution to the realization of the 2030 Sustainable Agenda, and to build a community with a shared future for mankind. Next question, please. On July the 10th, China Solomon Islands issued a joint statement that we should deal with the discharge of contaminated water prudently. The Foreign Ministry of Solomon Islands said that Japan should be more careful in discharging the contaminated water, and the president of the Pacific Island presidency stated differences with the IEA. What are China's comments? The quantity and span of time and area's influence are unprecedented. It poses certain risks to the international community. China and the Pacific Islands are all care about the risks of the discharge and oppose the discharge of contaminated water. Discharge into the ocean is also the only option. It's also the safest or best way to deal with the contaminated water. We also noticed that the director of the Pacific Island Forum says that legitimacy is one of the principles for international prevention against radiation. The overall benefits should be higher than the risks. Japan should ask itself that, is it treating the Pacific as a sewage for the contaminated water? Does it violate the principles? Does it violate its international obligations? Is it paying back the assistance from all countries 12 years ago with harm? We urge Japan to shoulder its international responsibilities, stop the discharge plan, and deal with the contaminated water in a science-based, transparent, and safety way. Next question, please.
Envoy John Kerry is now confirmed to be visiting China from July the 16th to the 19th. In addition to what was announced this morning, can the Chinese side give any more details about this visit, such as who will he be meeting and what will be discussed specifically? Thank you.
法新社提问：美国气候特使克里计划将于7月16日至19日访华。除了今天发布的消息之外，你能否介绍更多的情况？比如说克里会与谁会见？他将与中方讨论什么问题？
I answered relevant questions yesterday. I don't have information to supplement. Next question, please.
Yonghap. Will Chinese Political Bureau member Wang Yi and ROK Foreign Minister Pak Jin hold talks at the ARF Foreign Ministers meeting?
As I know, China and Korea are maintaining communication on the meeting, on the foreign minister meetings. I don't have information available now. Next question, please.
Of Foreign Minister Qin Gang, and is there any meaning to the fact that the reference yesterday, your statement yesterday about him being sick, was removed from the transcript put out by MoFA later in the day? Thank you.
Sorry, could you repeat the second part of your question?
Do you have an update about the health and condition of Foreign Minister Qin Gang? And I noticed that your statement yesterday was missing from the Chinese English transcript of yesterday's press conference. Does that mean you think you withdraw that statement?
请问中方关于秦国伟的健康和身体状况有没有进一步的需要发布的消息？我注意到在昨天的中英文实录中都没有出现昨天问到的关于秦国伟生病的一个答问。那么请问这有什么含义吗？中方有什么考虑吗？
First, I'd like to correct that. We never said that we're posing transcripts of the press conference. You may refer to past information. The journalist from Bloomberg asked many questions, but you never reported our answers and questions. As you decide what you report, we can decide what we publish. Next question, please. It's reported that the communique of the NATO summit said that China expanding the nuclear weapon and diversifying the arsenal and have more nuclear warheads and better carrier systems, and urge China to enhance discussions and increase transparency. What are China's comments? China is NATO is the military alliance with the most powerful nuclear weapons. It has been engaged in microphone diplomacy and stirring up China's nuclear threats. China firmly opposes this. China has been prudent and responsible in nuclear weapons. China has been committed to the defensive nuclear strategy and maintained the nuclear weapon at a minimum level for national security. China does not intend to for the nuclear weapon arms race. China will not threat to use nuclear weapons to any non-nuclear weapon countries first. Is there any NATO member countries to make such commitments? The international community also have the right to utter concerns on the nuclear sharing of NATO. The NATO is expanding its nuclear risks through the so-called extended deterrence. If NATO members really intend to reduce strategic risks, they should take real actions to reduce the nuclear weapons in the national and collective security policies and take real actions to safeguard regional peace and stability. Next question, please.
Sorry, 想要重复一下之前我问题的前半部分，就是您有没有关于秦国伟健康状况的进一步的消息？
I answered such questions and provided information yesterday. Next question, please.
Former ambassador to China, Andrei Denisov, said that Chinese side has invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit China during the Belt and Road Forum in October. Could you please confirm this? Thank you.
俄新社
The third Belt and Road Cooperation Forum will be held in this October. China is maintaining contact with all sides. Next question, please. Are there any other questions? A question on the joint communique of the NATO summit. It says that the ambition of China is threatening the value and security of NATO. It's posing systemic threats to NATO. The Secretary General of NATO also wrote similar opinions, saying that Europe today could be Asia tomorrow. What are China's comments? The joint communique of NATO is disrupting facts. China opposes that that is full of Cold War mentality. The Cold War has been ended for 30 years, but NATO has remained its Cold War mentality. It's going against the history and the major trend. It will not win the heart of the people. NATO claims to be a regional organization, but it is expanding to East Asia. NATO claims to be a defensive organization, but it's stirring up confrontation in Asia. NATO claims to uphold the so-called rule-based international order, but it's interfering in other countries' domestic affairs and selling security anxieties. It's obsessed with group politics. China is the builder for world peace, an upholder for international peace, and provider of public good. China firmly upholds the international order with the UN at its core and the basic norms of international order based on the purpose and principles of the UN Charter. China never invaded other countries or engaged in proxy wars or have military actions in other countries. We do not sell our ideologies or interfere in other countries' domestic affairs, do not organize or participate in military alliances. So why is China a systematic challenge to the NATO? Long-term peace and security of Asia-Pacific relies on mutual respect and cooperation between Asian countries. The east expansion of Asia will only disrupt regional stability and promote confrontation. Asia-Pacific countries do not welcome this. Many countries of NATO do not welcome the Asia-Pacific version of NATO. We urge NATO to stop its disruption effects on Asia-Pacific and China, and abandon zero-sum game and Cold War mentality, and abandon the wrongdoing of seeking absolute security, and do not disrupt the stability of Asia-Pacific. They should play a constructive role to world peace and security. Next question, please.
Last night, or early this morning, Microsoft said it found a China-based group
targeting government agencies in Western Europe. Does China have any comment on this report? And have you had any contact with governments in Western Europe asking about this? Thank you.
昨天晚上或者是今天早晨，微软表示，位于中国的黑客袭击西欧的一些网络，那么有没有西欧的一些国家对中国提出这一问题？
We noticed reports pointing out that the national security spokesperson noticed hackers of China using the loopholes of Microsoft to hack in the emails of the US, and noticed the US government. Would like to tell you that it is the US security departments that has been sending such misinformation. The U.S. National Security Committee is releasing such information, but no matter who is saying this, it cannot change the fact that the U.S. is the largest hacking nation in the world. In recent years, the national security agencies of China and other countries released reports that the U.S. has been attacking China's cyberspace, but the U.S. has never responded to the issue. The U.S. should give explanations on such issues instead of giving misinformation. Next question, please.
European countries, the Microsoft report says that there was Western European government agencies that were hacked by the China-based group, not US-based or US government agencies. Have you had any contact with any Western European governments about that, the alleged hacking of their agencies? Thank you.
我刚才的问题其实是关于西欧国家。那么微软的报告指出，基于位于中国的一些团体袭击了西欧国家的一些政府的机构。我并没有说是美国或者是其他的。或者是基于美国的机构，想问一下有没有关于西欧的这方面的消息？
I introduced relevant reports. The source of such reports of Microsoft are from the US. I refer you to the Microsoft company. You should ask if the report is based on the information of the US government. If so, the Microsoft should find out the fact that the US is the largest hacking nation in the world. Next question, please. Are there any other questions? If not, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you.